So I'll just chat a little bit about like the logbook.
You got to have a quality logbook.
You gotta have a quality logbook.
So he's got them since 2010.
Harry Potter. I know. I wish I bought them.
2010.
But.
He's got logbooks going back to 2010.
So I think like a few points that I'd like to cover from a progressive overload that we touched upon throughout this video anyway. So nothing that I'll bore people with, but like I am over a decade deep in my career, and I've used the logbook from day one. As Matt said, that there is a definite tendency for people to force progression and get injured. And I think the most important thing that I stress certainly to my clients is the fact that if you were going to get stronger every single week for 10 years, we would all be lifting 500 kilos on everything, and that's just not realistic. So progression is small. Progressive overload is a patient game, and it is a small margins game. So when I'm looking at making, this is how I log everything. All my sessions are here. This is this year, pretty much going back to. So their first session back after 2 bros win. So I know, I've got like the date, I've got my weight. So it just allows me to track a multitude of factors. But anyway, the point I was making was like, progress is small. So when I'm looking at making progress on a lift, first of all, if I haven't hit my rep target, if my rep target is an 8 to 10, and I'm sitting at an 8, I will not increase the weight until I hit a 10 or even an 11. And then when I do increase the weight, it's going to be by a small amount. 1.25 kilos aside, 2.5 kilos aside. Basically the smallest margin I can, because I would rather go and get another solid 10 reps on a slightly heavier weight than a shitty 6 reps on a much heavier weight. Because then I can guarantee my form will be pretty much bang on. I can also guarantee that I'm not really going to risk injury. So from a longevity point of view, again, something you mentioned with injury risk, which is very real, it definitely helps. So be patient, small margins, and I do think, for a lot of people, a logbook just helps keep you accountable. When you get to a certain level, like I could probably ditch it, but I'm that attached to it now, I genuinely enjoy logging. I'm just a geek, so, I'll keep doing it. But, yeah, I think that's good. What a shit ending to that segment. I was going quite well.
No, it's interesting.
Wheels fell off.
well, to ask you a question, because I'm interested in it all anyway. To put it out there, progress for you is, like you said, it's 1.25 kg, because I think people get the misconception that you should be putting 10 kilo on lifts every 2 months. Like it's never recoverable, it's never going to happen.
That's it.
So what are your kind of examples of increments?
So literally
like in 6 months of training, what kind of idea would...
I don't even look that far ahead. I look sort of rotation to rotation. So just going like here, where are we? So just take one exercise. So this is like my compound movement, Smith shoulder press. The last time I did 115 for 8 reps.
Yeah.
Then that was a good 8 reps. So this time I did 120 for 7 reps. So I'll now hold that 120 next time I hit it.
Try and get 8
till
reps.
I get 8, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's my slightly lower rep range. Then on my back off, I did 100 for 11, I did 100 for 12.
And that is how long between that?
So that's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So 2 weeks, like 5 kilos on the top, 1 rep on the second, on the back off. Which that's how kind of minor I'm saying. And I'm also not one of these people who, if I don't make progress, I'm not going to shit the bed. I'm not going to shit my pants and think I failed. Like, I think that frustrates me is when I get clients check in and they go, I've had a shit week of training, or I've had a shit session because I haven't made progress. Like, training should still be fun. Like, I still love going to the gym, and every single session is a good session, even if I might hold my numbers. But realistically, if you're hitting 7, 8 exercises over the course of the session, and you're holding on 6 and making progress on 1, again, accumulatively, over 6 months, that's still progress. So, yeah, just be realistic with things. Like I said, we're not going to add weight every week. We're not going to add 10 kilos every week. Maybe at the beginning of a rotation or of a training plan, progressions might be slightly quicker. But as soon as you get to that point where it's hard and form is, on the limit, don't be a dick with it. Just be sensible.
Especially like in terms of, obviously, you spoke about clients coming to you. So obviously, that would be advice to someone, because I know from personal experience. When you're in a set, and you're a decent bodybuilder in terms of experience, you can you get under and you think, like, I did 8 last time. At rep 2 or 3, you get a feel for, I'm not getting 8. And then you speed up. And then you go, I got 9. Ha. So the advice, obviously, again, in misuse, would be to people that it doesn't actually matter, like you said, like that doesn't dictate whether that session was a success or not in terms of building muscle. So just make sure everything's standardized as it should be, like the form and stuff. And if you're down on reps, you're down on reps. It's not like did I build muscle, did I not build muscle, tick, tick. Like, they're pretty much like, it's one of the things where I think people either, like if they're checking in with you and they say, oh, I don't want a shit week this week. Oh, mate. I want to check in great week, all my lifts are up. But they know deep down that things were manipulated and forced. I think
point of view, like I ask for a lot of video feedback for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
The amount of times, like I've had people who haven't like sent me a video for like 3 months. I had like a 70 kilo guy and he just happened to put it in his check-in, 140 kilo bent over row this week.
Like, yeah, I can't do that.
I messaged him straight away, I said, send me a video of that. Fucking hell. I was like, yeah, let's draw that back to 100 kilos because he's just got carried away. Now ideally, like I get videos kind of weekly and they're always, you know, the movements, like you said earlier, like back, fucking so easy for people to get carried away. Realistically, your presses, your squats, yes, they can go a bit quicker, but they're still, it's gravity at the end of the day.
If you do them on your own,
yeah.
and that's a good bit of advice. I've always trained, like, if you do squats and presses alone, you'll rarely ever fuck it up because it's scary. Like, you don't want to get trapped. It's back and you know, things you can bail that are always
things that you can like, generate momentum, even like your lateral raises, you know, anything like you can cheat. You know, a lot of times people will want to, but they don't mean to. But again, they get carried away with this.
It's human nature, isn't it? Like, if we sort of buy into something, that, oh, if this goes up, it's human nature to do it. Like, we don't know it. I think, no, I don't, because I've done it myself. And that comes from an experienced bodybuilder that even knew deep down what I was doing. But I was still so into this thing that I was like, nah, fuck it. I got another rep. Yeah, I got, like, and you think, but I don't know, I just look at people, like, I could probably find a video of yours on Instagram of you leg pressing, doing everything properly. And I'll go find someone who's not as strong as you and half the size with more weight on. And I go, well, Josh over here isn't lifting what you're doing, and you don't look like him, so why are you saying, oh, I did another 20 kilo aside this week? I think, even with my system, like, everything I do can be, I ask for videos of clients as well, and it's so flawed because I'm like, mate, there's loads more there, or like you haven't, so again, it's sometimes you might have a logbook that people abuse, end up going over the top, but then, and I sort of work on, right, I want a 10 rep max or a 15 rep max, and they go, yeah, that was 15 rep max, is it bollocks, like, talking shit. So people, any system's sort of going to be abused if you're inexperienced, and I guess that's our job as coaches, experienced people in the industry, to try and sort of standardize form. And again, like I said, everything that we do, like Josh does, I do, and anyone else, you find anyone on a bodybuilding stage, every single one of them might have had a different method of training, a different method of dieting, but everything will always be, we did it with intensity, we train, like, again, I always just say, just train hard. Again, it's very difficult to describe what hard training is. Some people think it's just pulling weird faces on leg presses, like, and doing, like, you know what I mean, just making things look hard, but you know deep down, like, if you're pushing yourself or really training hard, and that's what I sort of base my training on. Like, I know that, like, I might do everything really fucking controlled, but I know there was no more reps there for me to do, and I'm done. Whether I got this or that, or I lifted less than last time, it didn't matter. Like, if I had a logbook with me in the gym, would I have done more in this session? Like, no. If someone had a gun to my head, would I have done more? No. Like, so I think that's what I sort of try and base my own training on, just making sure that I've done everything as hard as possible within a set structure. We can all go, oh, well, you could have trained harder because you could have done another set, or you could have done another exercise. but we sort of learn the volume that we sort of. So I think for me, it's like having some form of structure to your training and a plan. You're a bit. If you go in there without a plan, it's a bit daft. And then just executing that plan to the best of your ability. Like, I try and sort of keep things. We say simple, like bodybuilding's simple, but then it's not easy, and like it's a fucking shit sport, really, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. I can't disagree. It's I think the main thing I knew before we walked in here, we'd all have the same thing in common. Like I knew we all did different things, and we have more in common with each other in different ways. But the main themes run for us all. Form is extremely important. The logbook doesn't work without perfect form. The way I train or how Matt trains definitely doesn't work without perfect form. And I think like strength, as Matt said, a really nice thing to get across is strength. If you get obsessed with strength, and like Matt said, it's quite, no one's to blame. Like if you think the stronger I am, the bigger I am, because you see big guys that are strong. You know, if you want to be, look at Larry Wheels, he looks great. But a lot of people I go to him, well, Larry Wheels is twice as strong as Phil Heath, and the muscular development isn't there. There's so many examples where, you know, you can point to people and say, well, their form, their efficiency, it's all off. They're the things we need to be digging into to get real gains, I think. It's not as much about the route you take, logbook, or do what you enjoy in that sense and find something that fits your personality type. But the most important thing is that the variables are there. You use your king muscles, that's definitely a start. And understand that no matter what you do, they all end up in the same place. And I mean, in an ideal world, yeah, if I come in here every day, and I've seen people say it before, like, I'll come in here, I'll do the 1 kilo dumbbells for 1,000 reps, next week I'll do 1,001, week after I'll do 1,003, and in 20 years I'll be super big. That doesn't work. There is always an element of intensity, which what Matt talks about, and Josh, and that is something that you can't really put a number on and you can't figure out, and that comes with experience, and it's just knowing your limits and knowing what is the right weight, and that takes a lot of time, and you've got to learn that. You can't have that from day one, and that's what separates all of our plans on paper to what we actually do in the gym. And the same for professionals as well, like Arnold splits or Phil Heath splits. What separates that is something you can't really put into words. It's understanding load and understanding how it affects your body, and that's a very important thing to start thinking about as well.
There's obviously an individual factor. We're all different, so trying to compare yourself, like I've seen people train together and a bit of healthy competition, like, oh, that's my training partner, we're trying to beat each other. You have to remember that you're two different people. Like, if there's a bit of fun and there's a bit of healthy competition and you're of similar abilities, cool, but I see so many people trying to, right, that guy's big and he's doing that, so therefore I need to do that. Like, strength is very genetic. Like, strength is a lot more genetic than building muscle. I think a lot of people can grow and build muscle, but if someone walks into the gym with like, well, I just bench pressed 140 kilos for my first session in the gym, cool, you're strong as fuck. Someone else over here might bench press, and of course, like 10 years of training, the guy who bench pressed 80 kilos might go and increase that, but the guy who starts at 140 then might go. But if this guy thinks I need to be bench pressing 140 to look like that guy, the same we talked about Josh's massive fucking arms, like someone else with shorter arms might do more, and if Josh got caught up like fucking hell, I can only dumbbell like raise 12 kilos, that guy's doing 20s, I need to be doing 20s. And then how many times do you see younger kids in the gym go, oh, did this today, so I gave that a bash? Like, what do you mean give that? Don't be giving things a bash. It's not, oh, the trial and error until the errors, oh, fucked it. So, again, like, try not to compare with other people in the gym. I don't want to say it, but it's your own journey.
I think we said, again, we've had so many conversations before. You're looking at 3 people here. I've trained nearly 10 years. Matt, how long have you trained?
Yeah, 12 years.
So you're looking at 3 people that have done over a decade. And the problem with this sport is you get into it and you find idols. You go, well, I want to look at that guy. They're 12 years in. You want to Matt arms like Matt, he's 12 years in. There's nothing the human body doesn't work like that. It's small goals. You can't look at someone and go, right, we just can't comprehend the amount of time that will take. So when you figure out your strategies and understand what we're trying to say, understand that obviously it takes decades of application as well, you know. Let's not hide that. It's a shit sport. Comes back to that.